Hey, welcome back to the channel, everybody. Today we're going to work on my 2002 Mustang GT. We're going to be replacing the alternator in it with this one. Basically what happened is they went out on me the other day. The car has about right around 100,000 miles. It just turned 100,000 miles the other day, and that was when the alternator finally decided to go out. I was on my way home from Christmas Eve church service when the car died while I was in traffic. But I had enough momentum to get the car off the road onto a side street. But yeah, long story. We ended up getting it into a nearby parking lot and left the car there that night. Obviously there's no car part stores or anything open on Christmas Eve, and Christmas Day everything's closed. But what I ended up doing was taking the battery out of the car that night, brought it home, charged it up, and then Christmas morning I went out, put it in the car, and was able to start it and get it driven home. It was about 10 minutes home, so it was enough power in that battery to get it home without having to get a tow, so kind of lucked out there. So what I did was I took the alternator out of the car this morning and called up my local auto parts store, the AutoZone here, and they had this in stock. It's the Duralast remanufactured alternator, basically an OEM replacement. It's the model number D3612-16-10. So everything is the same pulley, same connections, same plug and terminal. Now another tip is if you get your alternator out before you go to the parts store, you can turn it in. They can give you a small credit. There's a core charge on these, and mine was $27, so I got $27 credit towards this new one, so that's good. And also AutoZone had a limited lifetime warranty on this, so I like that as well. But I think this will be good enough to get my car back up and running. And I don't think you need any real special tools, just basic ones. It might be nice to have maybe a mini breaker bar with a 3/8" drive. That'll help you with the belt tensioner. You'll need to loosen the belt so you can get it off the top of the pulley. And then you'll want to have just a basic socket set and ratchet, maybe a small extension. You'll at least need a 10mm socket, and maybe like a smaller 8mm or something of that size for the battery terminal, because you're going to want to undo your battery. But that's basically it. So let's get under the hood and I'll show you guys the basic steps on how to install this. Okay, so here we are under the hood, and I'm going to give you guys a quick overview of the steps that I'm going to use to remove the alternator. The first thing I recommend you do is to disconnect the battery. Just go ahead and undo the negative terminal. That way there's no power going to the alternator. You don't want to have any issues when you go to disconnect the power. And then down here, I'll use my tool on this belt tensioner pulley, and we'll release the tension off of the belt, and we'll slide the belt off the top of the alternator pulley. Next we're going to get a 10mm socket to undo this, and we'll unplug the alternator from there. And there's a second plug to the alternator back here. If you can get it out this way, go ahead and take it out, but I'll probably wait till I get the alternator loosened up and better access to it, and then I'll unplug that. Now to get the actual alternator out, it seems like one or two ways to do it. For this video, I'm going to go with the method where we take this top bracket out. So there's 4 bolts on the top. Those are 10mm, and then there's 2 down here. These are kind of like studs. But they do unbolt all the way. So what some people do is they'll take these 2 front ones out, then they'll take the 2 bottom ones out, and then the alternator can come out that way. But for this video, I'm going to just take the top 4 out, and I'll loosen these up because the way this alternator is, the bottom is slotted, so basically it'll just slide up off of those studs. And then when it goes time to install, I can just slide it back down, and it'll line up just right. So that'll probably make it a little easier to reinstall. So that's basically it, so let's get started. Okay, so I'm going to start with releasing the belt tensioner, and I've got just a small breaker bar. This is the 3/8" drive, but just double check your vehicle. Like I was saying earlier, this could be a 1/2" drive, so just double check that. Okay, so it just goes like that, and then you just pull the pulley this way, and as you can see, the belt loosened up, and we'll just slide it off the top. And just kind of double check that it doesn't fall off all the pulleys, and if it does, just remember the orientation. That way you can reinstall your belt correctly at the end of the process here. Alright, so we'll leave that there, and let's go ahead and get these top bolts off. Okay, so we'll start with this one. Okay. Alright, well that was easy. Okay. And we'll do this one. This one might just pull this hose off and put it back later. There we go. Okay, so now this top bracket will come off. And now what we'll do is we'll loosen these two at the bottom. Now if you do take these all the way out, just remember there is a washer. You don't want to drop that or lose that. So that should be good. So as you can see, the alternator is pretty loose now. And so we'll get it out and then we'll try and get that last plug out. And this is what I mean by the bottom is kind of slotted, so it just slides up off of these studs. Okay. Let's see how we get that out. It's on there pretty good. Okay, so I've got a small flat tip, and the trick here is to, on the clip here, you're wanting to kind of push in on the clip so it'll undo it. So basically I'm just going to push it right here in between the metal of the alternator. That should slide out. There we go. Just like that. Okay. Yeah, so basically you're trying to push in on that part, and it'll unclip. So there you have it. Alternator is out. And so let's go get the new one. Okay, so we've got our new alternator here. And see how it's got the slots at the bottom. Mr. Pulley. Got the same connectors. So let's get this installed. Okay, just like that. And we'll get our little bracket. Okay. Go and get that one started. Get the one up front started. There we go. Okay, and then we'll just tighten those down. And these don't have to be like super tight. I don't have a torque spec on them, but just get them nice and snug. Just got to remember you're bolting this into aluminum, so it's kind of a soft metal. You don't want to strip it out. So that should be good. Okay, and then we'll do the 2 bottom bolts. Same thing. That's pretty snug. Do this one. All right, that looks good. So next we'll go ahead and attach our 2 plugs here. Clip that on there. I think it's this way. No, not that way. Okay. There we go. And this one. We'll use our new one here. And just get that snug like that. And that's it for that part. And now we'll work on getting the belt put back on. And we're almost done. There we go. Put that back on the bottom. Okay, and then under that. And then I'm just going to double check all the belts. None of them really moved and they're back in the right spot. Okay, that's good. That's good. All right. Okay, that's good. Go ahead and connect our little hose here. All right. So that's pretty much it. Last step is to reconnect the battery, and you are all done. So that's a pretty easy project you could do by yourself. And if you like that, give me a thumbs up, and I'll see you guys in the next video.